So I've already drawn out the dog onto the canvas and given it a coat of acrylic gel medium and raw umber as an imprimatura to paint onto, so it's a coloured stained ground. Instead of painting on white canvas, paint on a coloured stained ground. And the colours I'm going to be using are titanium white, Payne's grey, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, raw umber and vermilion. Though only a little bit of vermilion. It's not a very colourful dog or brightly coloured dog, this pointer. But it's there just to create a little bit of variety into the animal, basically. Because all our other colours are earth colours. And is a limited palette. So just with a little bit of Payne's grey now, I'm just putting in these relevant little details of the drawing that I've painted over. So just to make them stand out so I don't lose them, I'm just going over them with a little bit of Payne's grey, because I will be painting over them quite drastically as I progress. So I just want to make sure that they stay there so that they're still visible. So that's basically it. So I'll just change to white and put in some of these highlight areas. Now you can see the advantage of putting a coloured ground on an imprimatura, so that white really stands out. The lights and darks will now stand out. If I was painting on white canvas, you wouldn't see these. You wouldn't see those white areas of paint at all. But this makes it stand out, and generally the imprimatura gives you a middle ground, a sort of mid-grey, you might say. Okay, a little mist spray of water now, and I've gone onto my larger 1-inch bristle flat brush. And I'm just going to put in some of these basic background colours. Give it a little bit of variety in colour and light and dark. But still just with these limited earth colours. So Payne's grey and white, like that, and maybe a little bit of yellow ochre will give me a greenish tone. You can see how that is a lovely little subtle green. A bit of burnt sienna now into that. And a bit of light will give me this background colour here that can look like soil area or ground area. And I'll do the same with the dog. I'll put in some of these darker areas now using Payne's grey. And I'll just put in basic shapes. Not interested in detail, because basically the background is going to be abstract. The dog itself is going to be quite impressionistic, and just a couple of little details here and there in the eye and the nose. And that's all. The rest of it is going to be really quite loosely painted. So it's an exercise in loose painting. So try and stay with large brushes whenever you can. I'll just put in some of the lighter tones of the coat now, and I'll put in some variety by adding a little bit of raw umber into that to give me a little darker tone. And it's blending because I'm painting quickly as well, and also because the paint's not being absorbed into the canvas by putting on that initial layer of acrylic gel medium and letting it dry. That's created, it's like painting on glass. It doesn't absorb into the glass. Okay, while the paint is wet, I'm just going to use my silicone tool, flexible silicone tool here, just to move that paint around, mess it up, and mess some of those edges up, and just to add a little bit of messiness to the entire painting, especially some of the edges of the animal. I can see where they are, but I like to mess things up quite substantially at this stage. And while the paint's wet, I'll just scratch my signature into that bottom right hand corner. But that's basically what I call the messy stage. I'll just put a bit of burnt sienna into the eye and into that jaw. And now then, dry the painting off. Allow it a few minutes to cool. And then I'm going to do the same thing again. Do that background in similar colours. They don't have to be exact. In fact, it's quite a good idea to make them slightly different, because parts of that background will show through the previous background layer, and that will create levels of interest in that layer instead of just being a flat colour It'll have all sorts of things going on in there that you can just make out. But all the time I'm thinking of the contrast. How can I make that dog stand out against the background? So I'm using little bits of light here and there. And then I'm going to be painting the dog darker, obviously. So that'll make it stand out. Think about the contrast, the light against darks. Little mist spray of water just to dampen the paint so that I can move it again with this brush, with this tool, this silicone tool. Now all the tools and materials I've listed, I put in links in the description below. So if you're interested in these or anything that I use, then if you use those links, you'll be helping to support me and my channel, and this helps me to keep bringing you these videos. Okay, I've sort of messed up that area. I'll just paint some on now and then use the tool to move that around. Trying to keep it messy all the time. Move it around with that tool. And it gives it this lovely abstract quality and almost an oil painting look to it. Okay, with a smaller bristle brush now I can start to refine it a little bit more. Some of these darker areas. And each time I go over them, they'll get darker and darker. You have to go over dried layers though to do that. Acrylic painting like this should be painted in layers. And you build up the layers bit by bit, a little bit at a time, let the layer dry, go over the top and paint a little bit more. So you build up the entire painting like that. Okay, just put a few little dots and dashes and variations of colour here. Now you can do this on damp canvas, but you'll find it very difficult on dry canvas. So this is the advantage of using that mist spray bottle. Not so that the paint is, or the painting is wet and running down the canvas, but just so it's damp. And then you can move the paint around freely as if the entire painting was wet. As if the paint beneath it was wet, but it isn't. It just creates a damp atmosphere to paint into. And this is how you paint with acrylics and make them blend, basically. But I'm not blending dramatically. I'm using, a lot of the time, I'm using the force of the brush. If I'm painting with just Payne's Grey, the harder I press with the brush, the darker it's going to be. And the lighter I press, just dragging lightly, the lighter that paintbrush will be. So you have to experiment and know your brushes. I'm using an old worn bristle brush here to put in some of these light areas because I want them to be nice and ragged and broken up, loose and thick. I want this to be really thick paint. And I think you should know by now that my paint box that I keep my paints in is just tubes of paint squeezed into those boxes. So there's no water added. The only water I add to the painting now at this stage is in the spray bottle onto a dry canvas. And that is just to make it damp, as I say, not to make it wet. I'll just do a little bit to the background here as well, just to blend that light area on the top of the head into this light area in the background. I'm not blending dramatically and finely. I'm letting some of the brush strokes show through and be visible. Because impressionistic painting and abstract painting should be about that. It should be about the excitement of the brushstroke. You cannot do excitement, enthusiasm or movement with tiny little brushes. Okay, this is where the vermilion comes in. I'm just going to add a little touch of it here and there, under the chin, on the neck, and a little bit under that ear. There isn't any red in this dog under the ear. There might be a little bit of staining on the lower part of the muzzle, on the chin, but that's about it. But it just adds a little bit of variety, using a bit of imagination to create interest. So you can see how I'm using the pressure of the brush there to create different variations of depth. And while the paint's wet, I'll go in with a little lighter colour as well. And it starts to blend it quite nicely, although I don't want super realistic blends. Still want to show the brushstroke. Okay, a neutral colour into the dog itself now, into these areas. Use your finger to blend as well. Fingers are very important as a blending tool. It doesn't matter if the fingerprints show, that shows you've got hands-on approach. I think you'll find that in one or two of Titian's paintings 500 years ago you'll see some of his fingerprints. Because towards the end of his life he just painted with his fingers. Or he did a lot of the painting with his fingers. Okay. Yeah, just keep adding variety to these areas just by little short brush marks. But I'm holding the brush quite further down the handle, far away from the bristles. That allows you to put dynamic, bold brush strokes in. So with a small brush, I'm putting some of these darker areas in a little bit more accurately where I want them to be accurate. Blend with my finger again, like that. Because the eyes and the nose have to be accurate. Even in this style of painting, they've got to be in the right place, the right colours, the right density, the right shapes. The rest of the painting can be really loose, abstract and impressionistic. But the face, eyes, nose, mouth have to be accurate. And that goes for any kind of portrait, human or animal. Okay, put a couple of highlights in that eye there and it starts to come alive. And I'll put a few little lights around it, including on the lower eyelid there. Just pick out a little bit of light. And on the nostril. Okay, bit of highlight now on the top of the muzzle. Using really quite thick paint now, even with this small brush. And just letting the paint dance around, letting the light, those little dots of light, dance around on the muzzle, on the top of the head, and on the side of the muzzle there. And around here, I'm not happy with that area, so I'm just going to paint it out. Let's get rid of that, like that. That's better. Now that really shows off that dog because it's light against dark now. So it stands out. Same here, I'm putting a light edge there against that dark. I'll also adjust this bit of background to make the dog stand out a little bit more there. It's camouflage really, but it works. It makes that area stand out now and gives you the shape of the ear back. This is the beauty of painting with acrylics. You can do this. You can change things, alter things, correct mistakes. There's no excuse for getting to the end of a painting and thinking, oh, that's all wrong, but I can't be bothered. It doesn't matter. You can correct mistakes easy with acrylics. A little bit of light in the bottom of the eye now I've done just to create that reflected light into the lower part of the eye because the top part of the eye is in shadow. Okay, a little bit of mist spray of water and I can put in these whiskers and fine lines with this rigger brush, this fine line liner brush. And you can only put those in by giving it a mist spray of water. It draws the paint off the brush. Okay, a few little splatters here and there now to create this little effect of movement that I love so much. A couple of little brighter ones there as well, and I add in a few little dots of light as well here and there. And I'll put some whiskers on this side as well, a little bit darker this time, a little bit more grey, because they're in shadow. Maybe one or two light ones. But then, after I've gone over the painting with a few little bits here and there, I can consider that painting finished. Hopefully I will see you on my next painting video, so until then, have a lovely day and happy painting!